Hello everyone, it's Vike again, and with this video I'll be showcasing some gameplay related to my Shakkoumon DNA deck, and I've been having a lot of fun with it recently just because it has some really good defensive utility in the likes of Shakkoumon from BT16 along with the aces I run, in this case that being the BT16 Valkyrimon and the BT16 Vikemon, because again both of them offer up two different stuff, that being either DP deletion or just straight up the Digivolve, and it's very flexible in what it wants to do. And for this game I'm going to be facing my friend's Ragnar deck, and it's another DNA deck that was introduced quite a long time ago and it got new pieces, and obviously I think it's kind of fun to face against, but it's also kind of annoying only because of the fact that it can stack so many DP inherits and just taunt you kind of like what I plan to do in both my games, but it is what it is. And in this case I end up going force and just going Armadillo in the back and just hard slamming the promo Armadillo, and I end up grabbing some Marimon. And I think some Mari can be pretty decent, especially in more recent formats, only because of the fact that you can randomly kill off just rookies that they hard slam for Soulgene, and even against stuff like Numemon it can kind of help a lot. And he starts building up in the back and just plays his BT3 Lulumon, and I think it's better especially in this format just because of the fact that the new stuff kind of wants both Ragnar ace in hand along with just another piece. So again, that's just pretty solid. And eventually now it just comes back to my turn at 2. I promote the Armadillo I put in the back, and of course now I start to use some Marimon to kill off the rookie just played, so that way he has less bodies, and I go to one things to the other Armadillo. And I end up playing yellow memory boost, and since a lot of the stuff I do run ends up being yellow anyways, I don't mind whiffing on stuff like my Vikemon just because I do still want to go into Valkyrimon ace more often, not just because of the fact that's really powerful. And while against Ragnar it can be kind of tricky just because if they do end up blast acing me with Ragnar and stuff, it won't really match the DP to kill it with the Valkyrimon effect, just because of the fact that it would naturally be pretty big, so that can be kind of tricky. And I think after playing some games, especially at locals and just in the games that I'm going to show, I think a lot of the Armadillo onwards, especially against Mari and Sheep, definitely do have some funny utility, just because collision can be kind of funny because you can force them to block, and I think the random soul strip Mari offers is again pretty solid. And now my friend was pretty much just asking exactly my inherits and what they do, just because he wants to double check which Armadillo he wants to kill, and especially because now I also have the blocking inherits, so he wants to just decide, hey, is it really worth it to just kill off the one with the egg, or does he want to just fully go for my other Armadillo, because that one also has end of turn DNA, which is really helpful especially for this deck, just because that way I can use it to combo off with stuff like Ankylomon, the new one for BT16, and just do a lot of really funny things with it. Now he brings up his stack, and I believe he ends up going to use the level 5 hand effect, the Raichu Ludo one, that you have to attack with one of your Digimon by paying 2 cost, which is pretty solid just because again it's another taunt effect. And in this case he goes into his Duomon and he has blocker reboot I believe, and again I have to attack with my Armadillo, which kind of sucks because I wanted to DNA this one I believe, but I couldn't, and I just go into the promo pad in the back, and I still like to use it, especially just at 2 right now because it's still a really solid card just because of social security. In this case I end up hard slamming the promo Armadillo, my other one, just to grab a Valkyrimon. And again, Valkyrimon is a really good card and might not be super helpful in some cases against Ragnar, but overall still really good. And in this case I just pop a boost, go into the Sheepmon, and I don't attack, especially just because I'm really worried about the Ragnar ace. And in this case I think I kinda just did a slight misplay, because I ended up just end of turn DNA into my Shakkoumon, and I would also play the Edamon just because that way he can force to attack with it, but I don't think it mattered because I ended up putting it in the bottom of security, so I could have pretty much just not spent 7 memory to do that, just because it was a big waste, because now I don't really have to blast Evo on this time. But again, it is what it is. At least now I have 2 ultimates and he has nothing on board right now. I guess the only real advantage this play has is that way now if he removes one of the level 5s I still get Partition, and I still do have 2 blast A targets. So again, it's not the worst thing, but maybe I could have been a little bit more efficient with my stuff. And in this case he just hard slams his new Ragnar ace and ends up just trashing a security, and now he's immune to basically all effects, so I can't really do anything to it right now. But since he put me at 2, I just Hollow Slam Digimon Emperor and put him to 1, and now this way he can't really raise the rookie without passing turn, which is again really good in my eyes because that way he gets less bodies on board and less for me to deal with. And here you're going to see a small misplay from my friend here because I think for some reason he was so worried about the Valkyrimon because I guess if I DP minus him, he was worried that, you know, he just hit something in security that's slightly bigger because I think, you know, Ragnar's 15 and if he gets a small buff then he would be bigger than almost anything. But in this case he swings and I just blast Evo into my Vikemon that causes him to de-digivolve into the rookie that he put under, and since it's an ace, a level 7 ace, it overforce Fly. And I think for some reason I forgot to, you know, just remove my security because he was attacking and Vikemon didn't delete anything in this case, so I guess that's just a small error on our parts, but now it is what it is. And in this case I end up just stop swinging at his security because he has nothing on board, so I just want to do some damage right now. I swing with Sheepmon Force because if it dies I can just Armor Purge and Digivolve into something else. And now I just, you know, swing with my Vikemon and just play another Armadillo one, and I end up grabbing the BT16 one. And I just don't swing with Edamon just in case if he decides to, you know, bring up for some reason, he can, you know, just blast Evo and just be really annoying. And in this case he just Evos into a level 4 in the back because that way if he wakes up he would just pass on, so just Evoing into that was a lot safer. And of course now I just start swinging again because, you know, he has nothing on board, so might as well just do damage right now. And I pretty much just put him to 0 security this turn because, you know, might as well get as much damage. And for him it's very unfortunate just because my Vikemon lived because of the minus 2k from Pata for security, because if it died here I pretty much would have passed on at 2, so maybe he could have popped off, but now he just has no chance. I just swing with everything and I end up just going into my Shakkoumon here. But I only think it was the biggest deal just because of the fact that, again, he only has level 4 back and stuck at 1 memory. There isn't anything he could do, and he pretty much just, you know, plays a rookie and just scoops it because, again, you can't do anything at this point. And this next game is going to be against Myotismon, which I also think that Shakkoumon could also be kind of decent into it just because they also play a lot of like Solstice Digimon in a lot of cases just because, you know, they free play a lot of their ultimates. If not, they just play for a reduced cost thanks to, you know, the dual tamer. But again, stuff like Vikemon could also be very beneficial in this matchup just because, again, they could just kill off a lot of the one or less source Digimon, which again is really helpful for me. And even if I Valkyrimon ace them at the right time, it could also kind of ruin a lot of their board presence if they do have, say, a lot of Yukomons out, or just soften up other ones of their ultimates and just whatever else. But at the same time, if I'm not careful, he can pretty much just have a really good trash up early on, and it really just depends on how fast that happens. In my case, I just go promo pad in the back and Digimon Emperor. And in both games, I really do think that Digimon Emperor helped me out a lot in both cases just because it kind of stopped him from, you know, bringing out his rookies really early. And since, especially in this case, I am able to kind of just delete a lot of his Digimon, so the draw effect really comes up a lot because a lot of his stuff usually is level 5 and below. While he can free play a lot of his megas and stuff, again, just making sure I can keep a lot of his level 5s off in the grave kind of is also beneficial for me, especially with Digimon Emperor, because again of the draws. And Devimon here is still pretty good just because of the fact that he can get his trash set up just ever so slightly, and now he ends up just going Yuko and Yukio in the back. And again, that's pretty solid just because having his Yukio tamer set up really early is just beneficial just because he can gain memory off of it and just use it for his eventual Mallow or Venom Myotismon plays. In my case, I end up just putting him to 1 with the dual tamer. I didn't want to bring up just in case because the promo Pata is just fine enough sitting there as is, because I want to make advantage of it for later on, especially if I'm able to free play it in Armadillo and whatnot. Now he's just asking what would happen if he moves up his Yuko, because I do have Digimon Emperor out, but he's pretty much safe to do it because he would gain 1 and then still lose 2 memory, so now he just puts him at 0, and now he just starts doing damage. And it's very unfortunate because, you know, the one with the egg ends up living because he hits a dual tamer, and in this case his Devimon ends up just dying. So if it was the Force Order, he would have been able to at least get a lot more draws. But in the end it kind of worked out just because he ends up playing Calling from Darkness to delete the Yukomon, and he ends up just grabbing the other 2 pieces he could from trash. and he ends up just trashing the Moyo spawn he grabbed back with the Demi-Meramon, which in the end still kind of worked out because now he at least gets some draws, and hopefully he end up getting something good. In my case, I end up just bringing up the Promo Patamon and I free play an Armadillomon, and in this case I end up grabbing Sheepmon because that way I think I end up planning just to evo it over the Patamon, and while it does cost 3, I'm still able to keep toying with it only because of the dual tamers, because I gain back 2. I end up swinging with it, and thanks to Pata, again now my Sheepmon has a slightly better chance to survive, and it does because it has a Yukomon, and in this case I end up just putting him to fall with another dual tamer. And right now I didn't really care how much memory I gave him, only because he doesn't really have anything established on board, and his trash isn't looking the greatest right now too, so me getting another dual tamer is really good just because now I'm able to gain memory whenever I digivolve into something, and again just really good to have as many as you can on board just because of how effective they are at gaining you back memory. And since in this case I could sometimes de-digivolve his stuff, which again is super helpful because that way I can just de-digivolve his megas if he does hard evo into him. And of course he ends up just hard slamming the Mummymon, putting me to 2, so that way he can still filter out his deck. In my case, I ended up hard slamming the Armadillo promo to get a Shaku because now I finally just want to end up DNAing, because a lot of his effects all by Digimon, so you can't really touch it other than using options. And since the securities are kind of low at the point, I can't use Shaku's DNA effect to put Mummymon there, so at least now if he wants to swing with his Mummymon, he just is locked out of that for the taunt, because now with the Ankylo he can't attack players, and that's really good for me because that way again it stops him from just swinging with it. And in this case I just go Evo in the back, and I just play the movie Promo Patamon to look at my security to grab an Edamon just in case if I need it for later. But in this game I didn't use Edamon, but I still think it's very powerful, only because of the fact that since I won 8 aces, it's pretty much a gamble of which ace do I want to use at that current moment, and I think that's really funny. And in this case he doesn't move up because again the Digimon Emperor would put him at 0, so that's just more memory he would be giving me in the end. So in this case he just ends up going into his Myosmon Mega. I think it's the Venom one, the one that's a blocker and on play, on deletion, and just when Digivolving to delete a level 5. In this case he just deletes my Patamon, and I'm not super scared of it at the moment just because unfortunately for him I end up having a Vikemon in hand to kind of de-digivolve it, so that way I don't really have to deal with the blocker and the fact that doesn't really get much value out of it other than I guess now going to trash. So in this case I end up swinging with the Vikemon and just deleting the Mummymon, and thankfully the Vikemon ends up living, and I think at least I have 1k buff from the Inherit, which again is pretty solid for me because now I think in most cases I can beat over almost everything in the deck, I'm pretty sure. So again, at least I don't have my ace dying and I don't pass the taunt thanks to Overflow. And I just play the Promo Armadillo because that way I am forcing him to kind of deal with my board, because if he doesn't I still have one step closer to game in this case. While getting up the blocker is still kind of nice, it doesn't really matter in the end of the day, only because of the fact that one, spoiler alert, I end up winning this turn, along with the fact that Vikemon when attacking kind of just kills it because he has no sources under it. So now it's my turn, and I end up just promoting my Ankylomon because right now I think I kind of need to, only because of the fact that it's a level 4 and I can use that to climb into Valkyrimon, which again I end up doing in this case. And I'm asking him just in case if I can win this turn what Myosmon level 6s he has in the trash. So of course in this case I end up just deleting that Myosmon. He overflows, but thanks to Yukio it gets put to 6. And of course now I end up just climbing up into Valkyrimon thanks to Edamon that I end up actually grabbing, which it was kind of useful but not in the way of you expecting, where I just hard slam it to kind of get an ace play off it. I just end up using it to kill the Demi-Mon, so that way I'm able to at least kill it off and then get Valkyrimon's +1 security check off. And while you end up seeing me just going to Chaos Mon for the game, I didn't have to do that, I just thought it was funny. But again, thank you all for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And again, I enjoy anyone who stayed around to the video till this far in. Again, see you guys later.